Thanks for joining us once again on the Lads Football Network, Proline TV. I'm your host, Greg DePalma, as we take a look at what's going on with the latest news out of Auburn, as the Auburn Tigers are looking for a new head coach following their loss this weekend to Kentucky. Hugh Freeze is out. Who will be replacing Hugh Freeze for the 2026 season? No better man to help us talk about that. Next head coach and the search in general. Then Bryan Matthews, sports writer, who've been covering the Auburn Tigers for over, we're almost, are we at 25 years yet? Or is that next year, Bryan?
A quarter century, yes. I've reached that mark. I look so much younger than I did when I started.
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
So thanks a lot again, as usual, for joining me, Bryan. I'm sure with the basketball season tipping off and all this craziness going on with the football team, it's very busy. So let's get right to it. This was not a major shock, especially after the way the team played this past Saturday. Justified though, I could sense, and I think really the Kentucky loss was just the one that even for myself, where I was kind of trying to look at the positive side of the way the season had gone. Well, you beat Kentucky, you do this, you do that, you can still beat out, you still go to a bowl. It's better than where they've been. There's improvement. But the fact of the matter is the Kentucky game just really, especially after a big win the previous week at Arkansas, I guess that was just the final nail.
It really was. With the end of the Kentucky game, Auburn went 8 straight quarters against the 2 worst defenses in the SEC, Arkansas and Kentucky, and scored 1 offensive touchdown. and of course, one of those games was at home, and that touchdown was on the first series against Arkansas. So, it's just a pitiful offense, one of the worst offenses I've seen, maybe the worst, especially when you combine that with the talent that Hugh Freeze has managed to add on that side of the ball. I mean, you got 5-star receivers, you got 5-star quarterback, you got a 2-year starter at Stanford at quarterback. You spent a ton of money on 2 portal offensive tackles. You probably spent a third or more of your entire budget and revenue sharing on the quarterback room, the wide receiver room, and those 2 transfer offensive tackles. And you produced the worst passing offense in the SEC and one of the worst in the country and one of the worst offenses in the country.
Do you think it's just as simple as whatever succeeded for Hugh years ago is now considered old school as far as offense is concerned, and he just hasn't adjusted?
I think that's part of it, but I think there's more to it than just that. I think another part of it is I don't think that him and his staff on that side of the ball have had the attention to detail, the focus, the organization that you see DJ Durkin have on defense, right? You see them continuing to make these critical mistakes, or at least they did, in critical moments of games. And to me, Hugh Freeze would get in there and talk about execution, which is his way of blaming the players. But to me, when that happens over and over again, over seasons, we've had a spring, a fall, preseason practice, and we're 8-9 weeks into 10 weeks into the season now. If you're having execution problems on offense, that's on you, brother. You know what I'm saying? So I think there was that. I just don't think he was capable of running that program and running the offense at the same time at the level it needed to be. And I do think Hugh Freeze deserves credit for running the program quite well. He has definitely increased the talent level since he got there. It really bottomed out under Brian Harsin. And I think if you've watched Auburn, you can see that they have not quit, right? They have not laid down. There have not been a lot of finger pointing from the defense to the offense. You've got a championship level defense, right? I don't know if you've seen this stat, but 3 teams in the country haven't given up more than 24 points. Indiana, Ohio State undefeated, and Auburn.
And that's a really terrible offense. It shows you how much better their defense really is.
Exactly. But despite all that, this team is held together emotionally, player-wise. So I think he deserves credit for that. So I don't think we need to throw Hugh Freeze entirely under the bus. But I think the firing was warranted. I think his offense was like not a D-, an F, like a low F. And I didn't see any way out of it. To me, he didn't have any answers. It just kept happening over and over again.
Is there I often wonder with some of these programs why they make the moves when they make them.
Right.
And especially when you consider that they're still in the hunt for a bowl
Yeah.
and they still have Alabama on the schedule. And we all know, you guys know more than, of course, most people, that beating Alabama can really win your season. Are you surprised that there was that decision made before all this? Because that seemed to me to believe then that they do believe that they have a better chance of beating Alabama without Hugh Freeze right now, with someone to just pop in there, someone who has not been the head coach. And is that the case? Is that, do you think that the timing was for another reason entirely?
I mean, I thought they could have easily done it after the loss to Missouri. In my opinion, the offense was terrible in that game too. I just and that would have given DJ Durkin more time to get this team ready. But I do think that the sooner the better. I didn't see any answers for Hugh Freeze on offense.
Okay.
And maybe DJ Durkin with his ability to organize, with the energy he brings. I think that's another thing that Hugh Freeze maybe lacked a little bit. And I think there could be a lot of reasons for that, including his health and the pressure he's putting on himself to perform at the biggest job he's had. And I wish him well in those matters. I don't wish anybody poor health or suffering in that way. But from the football standpoint of it, yeah, the sooner the better. Give DJ Durkin as much of an opportunity as possible to see what he can do with his team. He turned over the offense to Derek Nix, who was brought over from Ole Miss, I think about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, as the quote-unquote offensive coordinator, even though Hugh Freeze was really running the show on that side of the ball. So we'll see what he does.
Okay.
Derek is a running backs coach by trade mostly, at least lately. So I would not be surprised to see Auburn really feature that running game and try to be a little bit more consistent with it, would be my guess.
And Durkin does have a legitimate shot of becoming the head coach next season.
Yeah.
Therefore, these games, and maybe that's another reason, a big reason why they decided to make the move, to give him a shot.
Right.
So that's going to be important too, correct?
Very important. Auburn's got Vanderbilt on the road, top 10 team. I believe they are, maybe top 12 team. I'm not sure exactly where they are now. Then Mercer at home, and then the Iron Bowl at home. So they win 2 out of those 3. They're 6-6. They get a chance to go to bowl game and break this streak of losing seasons, right?
Yes.
That's going to be tough to do on its own. And of course, they sweep it. That's 7 wins. But we'll see. I don't know how much you can do in 1 week offensively, or less than a week, really, and turn things around as much as it needs to be turned around, especially when you're facing a Vanderbilt team on the road that I would say is very, very well coached, especially on defense, right? Does all the fundamentals right, doesn't make dumb mistakes, and they're coming off a loss, and they know that they still have a chance to do some really special teams this season. So I think they're going to be very fired up to play Auburn. So I think it's a tough situation, this game, but then they get 2 weeks off. I believe that's right, and then Mercer, and then Alabama. So that's basically giving Durkin in this group 3 weeks to get ready for Alabama. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to look past Mercer, because I think Mercer's won about 5, 6, 7 straight or something like that. I have to go look, but
okay.
But this is an opportunity, and that Iron Bowl will be big, and I do think Durkin is definitely in play here to be Auburn's next head coach. He's not the guy I would say is the favorite necessarily, but I think he definitely has opportunity, and doing well these last 3 games would certainly be a boost
Absolutely.
to his chances.
Yeah, it's like he has nothing to lose. It's like,
Yep.
Hey, I mean, I wasn't really the favorite anyway. If we can compete, maybe I still have a chance. But you win, you beat Bama. You almost have to give him the job, you feel.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Time will tell. Okay, so before I let you go, get the coaching candidates that you think we were going to be hearing about that make the most sense to you. Go ahead and give us a few names.
Yeah, and it is early, and I think we put around 10 guys on our initial coaching hot board.
Okay.
And 5 guys to me stand out early, but again, it could go a lot of different ways. But John Summerall from Tulane, as a guy with ties to the state, I believe he's from Huntsville. has SEC ties, played at Kentucky, coached at Kentucky, coached at Troy in Alabama. Maybe just a couple hours down the road from Auburn. So
It's important.
yeah, so he knows the state, knows the area. I think people have compared his demeanor to Pat Dye a little bit, which obviously Auburn fans would love to be able to replicate that era of Auburn football. So he's one to definitely watch, I believe. DJ Durkin, of course, we talked about Eli Drinkowitz, Missouri, a guy that coached at Auburn for a couple of years under Gus Malzahn. He's part of that staff, so he has connections here. Of course, SEC ties, being the head coach there, and certainly he's a guy that's also wanted in other places and is going to come with a hefty price tag, along with Lane Kiffin. I think is in the mix too. Obviously, I think Florida, LSU are very interested in Lane, and I think Ole Miss is willing to pay Lane a lot of money too. So I think that's kind of an outlier, in my opinion. And then Kenny Dillingham, another guy that was at Auburn, I think just a year under Gus Malzahn as the offensive coordinator. He is at his alma mater in Arizona State right now. So, I don't know how much he wants to leave that situation and come to the SEC, but Auburn does have some advantages as far as the amount they can offer coaches as far as salaries, as far as revenue sharing to build a roster, all those things.
Yeah, I've often thought about that with Dillingham, because his name is going to be thrown around just about every big job, because he's like the top young, next potentially great head coach that everybody wants to look at. But like you said, because his alma mater is where he's at right now, it's going to take the perfect job for him to leave his alma mater. You would have to believe, and an awful lot of money, but the perfect job. And I would assume that these are the types of opportunities, Auburn and so forth, that fit that criteria for him. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what he does. Either way, I'm sure he's probably going to get a lot of money this offseason either way, either by staying at ASU or by leaving.
He's getting paid. Lane Kiffin's getting paid. Eli Drinkwitz is getting paid no matter what they do. We've already seen some coaches getting paid, right? But before, we've really gotten into the season, So, that's happening now. And, Auburn's sort of throwing itself in the fray. We'll see where they come out.
Have you gotten an idea regarding the fan base, like when you put out these names, and like, I don't know if there's been a poll yet, or just your general feeling of what the fans would prefer? Like, is there a leading candidate for the fans?
I wouldn't say there's a leading candidate yet. I think most fans are afraid to go with a group of 5 or group of 6 candidate, just because, there's not a huge track record recently of that working in the SEC, even though I don't think it necessarily matters. You just got to find the right guy.
Yes.
But I think that's a concern with them. And, I think all fans would love to have some guy that's already, proven he can win a championship, blah, blah, blah. So are
they okay with Kiffin?
No, I think they would love Kiffin.
Really?
I just,
okay.
Absolutely. I think that would be a home run hire. But the price tag for him is going to be very, very high, especially when you got Ole Miss trying to keep him, and LSU and Florida potentially going hard after him. That would be a high price for Auburn to pay. And if you're Auburn, okay, you want to dole out 15, 18, 20 million, whatever it is for Kiffin. I have no idea what the market is, but it's a lot. Or do you want to take a Summerall and you're paying them, I don't know, 7-ish, 8?
Sure,
I don't
half
know
the price, yeah.
Right. And then, hey, what if we make DJ Durkin the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country, get him to stay here? What if we go find an elite offensive coordinator and pay him big bucks to come here, or do the thing that a lot of schools have done recently and find the offensive coordinator that brings his quarterback and his whole system with him,
And that could be Drinkwitz, because we're going to be looking at his true freshman quarterback starting this week. And you got to believe if Drinkwitz leaves, he's going to want to take that quarterback with him. Probably
so. Drinkwitz has given up play calling, so it's his offensive coordinator that's in charge of the defense. And I think that's another thing I think Auburn will look for. It's more of a CEO style approach, whereas whoever the head coach is not calling the signals on defense or offense, just because of the transfer portal, because of revenue sharing. I think the head coach of a university like Auburn or the SEC, the Big Ten, it's become so much bigger, so many more responsibilities outside of the X's and O's.
Yep. So this whole Kiffin thing, outside people like myself, outside of SEC territory, we probably don't understand it as much. Why? Like, what is there like a pecking order when you're thinking, like, because we hear Kiffin, like, it seems like I just get the feeling like in 30 years he'll have coached half of the SEC. That's like so it's like, what's is it just money, or is there like this pecking order where Kiffin sees himself as, well, I'm at Ole Miss now and it's nice, it's the SEC and I can win here, but I have a better opportunity to win at Auburn or at Florida, which is the reason why he's thinking about those, or could be thinking about those opportunities, or is it just money?
I don't know Lane, of course. I've never covered him, but looking at him from, adjacent, right, another SEC school, to me, it looks like he's matured, a lot over the last 6-7 years, and has taken a more pragmatic approach to his career.
Going to FAU will do that. Yeah.
Right. And, I think he had opportunities to leave Ole Miss last year, the year before. He's had opportunities. So I think if he does leave it, he's probably going for what he feels like is his final step, right? Maybe that program he feels like, in his opinion, offers more than Ole Miss can. But I do think that what would fit that criteria 6 or 7 years ago and what fits that criteria now is a wholly totally different. Ole Miss may offer everything he needs. So, he may just use this as an opportunity to get, a lifetime type contract and, be the Rebels coach here for the next 10, 20 years, however long he wants to keep coaching.
Yeah, you make a great point, because 10 years ago, it would have been like, oh, of course, Auburn is in a much better position, recruiting wise and all that kind of stuff. But nowadays, all you have to do is take a look at the playoffs picture right now. It's like, it's parity galore in college football, and it's not changing. If anything, it's going to keep getting more parity that we've ever seen before. So I don't think there's a big difference, and I'm sure he doesn't believe that either.
And really, one of the biggest selling points for any coach out there right now is just how much money do you have to offer in NIL and revenue sharing? Like, how big is that package? Because if I've got a $25 million package, I'm just throwing numbers out there at Auburn, and a $30 million package at Ohio State, and a $45 million package at Notre Dame, or whatever. I'm picking the biggest one because I can go out and get the best players, and that makes me look like a better coach. Well, it makes me a better coach. So and I actually think those numbers were ludicrous throughout, by the way. But from what I'm hearing, Auburn has put together what they feel like is a super competitive package, one that will maybe elevate their job above some others that people think are looking at as a better job than Auburn right now. So we'll see how that plays out as we go along.
Finally, give us a prediction, Bryan. I know it's early, but what's your gut tell you at this point in time? Of course, another coach or two can come out of the woodworks. A lot of times it happens that way. But from what you know right now, who do you think will be the head coach?
I think it's going to be John Summerall. That's my early prediction. We got around 3.5 weeks to go. I think the target date is right around the Iron Bowl. You got the Iron Bowl, then I think that Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, is signing day. And then a month after that is the portal opening. So Auburn is going to want to strike as soon as possible after the Iron Bowl. So that'll be a really, really important time. And of course, the coach they're after, or the coach that they want, may not be done with their season, so it may not work out that way. But
that's true.
That's when you want to start looking for it.
Yeah, because the coaches you named, the only one that might appear to be maybe busier would be Summerall, but it's looking less likely after the loss last week. They still have a chance, of course. You win the AAC, and you're probably going to be the playoff team.
Yep.
But it's still going to be hard for them to accomplish that. But still, that's the story for another day. Meanwhile, I've got links in the description of this video if you want to follow Bryan's work regarding the Auburn Tigers and everything regarding the coaching search. You can check it out. And Bryan, I look forward to if something else happens and we need to call upon you. I love the fact that you're always there for me and us here at Our Lads and Proline, and I really appreciate that. And one way or another, I know we'll talk sometime soon. So have a really nice rest of the season. Enjoy the coaching search. I'm sure that's good news to keep you busy. And we'll talk to you sometime down the road.
I appreciate you, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bryan. All right, that is Bryan Matthews. And again, links in the description of this video. You can check out all of Bryan's work. And as far as the rest of the schedule here, as far as Arled's football coverage and ProLine, we have the show tonight at 7 o'clock where we're going to take a look at all the games in college football and the NFL for Week 10 in NFL, Week 11 in college football. And on ProLine TV, we have our Formula One NASCAR coverage at 4 o'clock live, only on ProLine TV. So, again, I want to thank Bryan Matthews from On3 and Rivals. They're connected now, so he doesn't really have a favorite one way or another, but you can check out all of Bryan's work. He's the best Auburn analyst that I know. Bryan just whenever I ask him to come on, he comes on. This has been going on now for, wow, it's got to be maybe even close to a decade, something like that. So I really appreciate all of Bryan's work. He does a great job. And I look forward to talking to him again at some point. And for sure, we'll talk to him sometime in the summer as we get closer to the 2026 campaign. No later than that, as far as you Auburn fans out there. Meanwhile, you can stay right here for more coverage when we take a look around the rest of college football. We're going to talk to more of our contact analysts, sports writers and such from other programs. There's a lot of other opportunities out there. And we'll talk more about that as well, 7 o'clock tonight on ProLine Picks Tuesdays again. And there are games already tonight. Don't forget that. Games tonight, big game tonight in the MAC between Miami of Ohio and Ohio. So we're going to be on the air just when that game kicks off. And all of our other coverage this week includes our Wednesday coverage. Jim Feist will be down at in his little, I wouldn't even say little, his nice little restaurant, remote location in Las Vegas, Nevada, Dom DeMarco's restaurant, every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern. So that'll be tomorrow on Wednesday. And then we've got our Thursday coverage with the Playbook ATS podcast with Mark Lawrence and Andy Isco, along with Jim and I. And then on Friday, we wrap it all up with our ProLine Pigskin Friday show as our last show before the weekend's games. And we go over tidbits and things of that nature on some of the things going, injuries, things like that in the NFL and college football, including other analysis, game picks, and so forth. So it starts tonight, Tuesday night. Then we got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We've got football coverage all ready for you starting tonight for Week 10 in the NFL and Week 11 in college football. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. We appreciate all of that, and we'll see you again real soon.